going?
A face to a voice. Nice to meet you.
Too.
And we have Wes. That's already here. And hope you're comfortable. So like, and as they say, knowledge with today's technology, we can gain knowledge anywhere, in a vehicle, at a cafe, at the beach, or at the bar. But you have to use the right place at the bar so that they don't see the beer bottles.
Yep.
In the background. So we're ready to get started. The two main people is Wes and you, right? Talking about fire escapes. We have this recorded, so in case you want to share this with anybody else. And I have a lot of my team here. They're all we're always training. So if you don't mind, some of my team is going to be listening in on me speaking with you as a city official. Now, just to give you an example of who we are and what we've done so far, here's the cities where we've taught classes already. So you're coming in on a class that we not only talked, but we have also on YouTube. Can you share the YouTube channel, Ben? Share the YouTube channel and go to the National Fire Escape Association. And this will make you feel comfortable, because the key is, where can I get this information? And so if you go to the National Fire Escape Association, so bookmark it, and then you touch all the classes that I've done nationwide, you're going to see Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, Oakland. You're going to see LA. And these are all classes that we took nationwide. So we teach the only fire escape awareness class nationwide, from Maine to Florida, Chicago to Texas, and then all the way from, Seattle to San Diego. So all we're doing is, I'm just playing another gig. I'm just going to tell you about it, tell you that, here's what's required in your city, and here's what's going to happen. Because sometimes you're going to write a violation and they can't find somebody to deal with it. We're just going to tell you these people exist. We're going to read the code to you and say, this is what the code says. These are the people that can do it, so that, we're not the only action in town. I'm saying, we're saying, hey, these other people can do it. Whether they do it or not, that's the only change. But there's all these classes, and your class is going to be on this same channel, so that your people can look at it in the future. As you bring an onboard new inspectors, have them watch the very video that we're recording today. Okay. Right. So before we get started, I'll tell you where these things are. YouTube. So at the very top of this YouTube channel, just type in Fire Escape Seminar. If you did a search. So if you don't remember the name, and you don't remember, or anybody, after you write a violation, they say, hey, I don't know what to do. You say, okay, well, go to YouTube, just type in Fire Escape Seminar, Fire Escape Inspection, Fire Escape Repairs, Fire Escape Painting. And so if you just type in Fire Escape Seminar, right? California, right? Put California at the end of that, right? As soon as you do a YouTube search, boom, San Francisco comes up. And, and this class is by some others, but primarily, with the National Fire Escape Association, we've been around for over 50 years. So the key right there is, like, write a violation, but you got to help them find, what's this mean? Because you don't have time to explain everything, Corey. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as you scroll down, you're going to see, various things, but, there's San Jose's class that I taught, San Francisco's class that I taught, San Diego's class that I taught, and on and on and on. The best one for you is going to be, if it's on here, is probably going to be the one for Sacramento, your capital city. So we taught a class on two things there. We taught a class on fire escapes. Primarily 3/4 of the class was on that. And then 1/4 of the class was on SBs and 721s and 326s, which we'll only do at the end of this class that we're doing with you right now. We also did a class and a presentation to the NFPA at their expo in 2024. So if you want to see a class there, the first ever class on fire escapes to the NFPA code conference and expo that they have every year, this was the first ever fire escape presentation there for the NFPA. All right, so now let's go back to the website, the National Fire Escape Association. If you could share that screen. So this is where you want to go if you want to get seminars, code, technical bulletins. So let's see what we have for the code sector and, you know, your 1032. So, Ben, can you find if the 1032 is in this area, or can you give me the 1032 code, 1032.2? Corey, are you aware that that's your code?
Yes.
Perfect. So 1032.2 is basically the 1104 code in the typical IFC 1104. And all you did was just say, we want to give it our own number, but it's the exact same code.
Right.
Okay. So, so let's read the code. Let's start there. Ben, let's start. Let's read the code first. No, I'm saying code, the 1032 code, Ben, I'm sorry. Okay. Just want to, so let's zoom in a little bit. And I just want you guys to see where in your code it says what we're going to be talking about throughout the whole day. And the required exits, the reliability, and the code. So you want to read it to me, Ben, since you have a bigger screen, where it says the examination of the fire escape must be tested and examined.
Yep, just section 1032.2 required exit accesses. Exit discharges shall be continuously maintained free from obstructions or impediments to full instant use in the case of fire or other emergency where the building area is served by the means of egress is occupied. An exit or exit passageway shall not be used for any purpose that interferes with the means of egress, and specifically for fire escape systems.
So stay there. Let's go back up. So what that means, Corey, is that we get there, we have a fire escape system, bicycles, trash, anything that we find, we have to, that's going to be part of our report as an examination. You must have a fire escape that's non-obstructed, including windows and doors or anything. Again, we're only dealing with the outside. A lot of times we're not inside looking at things. We're outside. And then, but it must be a clear path to a public way. So we have to be very careful that as we get there and we find that it empties into the yard, but it doesn't go anywhere, that's going to be part of our examination to make sure that this somehow gets to a means of egress way or an exit alleyway. So you have to have the people must self-evacuate to a public way. Okay, so let's read on the next one. The 1032, just go slowly on that. The next one, you know, the up above, before we get down to the full code, just scroll up. Yeah, right there, security devices and egress logs. Read that, please.
Security devices affecting means of egress shall be subject to approval of the fire code official. Safety devices and locking arrangements and the means of egress that restrict, control, or delay egress shall be installed and maintained as required by this chapter.
So what that means is that if you get there and I got a grate on my window with a lock on it, we say you can't have that. You got to remove it. It's got to be single action, requiring no special knowledge or a key. Correct, Corey? Are we good so far?
Yep.
And so, and sometimes we get to the very bottom. We're in the yard. There's a gate lock there. We have to tell people it has to be a crash bar. It has to be something. You can't have, oh, but I'm having security problems. You know, people are breaking in and stealing my bikes. I have to say, you have to figure that out yourself with either more lighting, security, but Corey is going to get this information, and he's going to basically work with you to determine what's appropriate for him, for your tenants to get out, and for him to get in, okay? But you can't have anything that requires a key or a combination of any way. So read the next one, please, Ben.
Next section, specifically about fire escapes, so 1032.2.1.1 all the way to 1032.2.1.3. Fire escape. Security enclosures, fences, or screening for fire escape stairways shall be approved by the fire code official and shall be constructed such that they do not impede egress to the public way. Means shall be provided for emergency personnel to access the fire escape stair from the exterior of this enclosure.
So that means there has to be some sort of key or some sort of way for you guys to basically not have to take out your battle axes to get access. But primarily the biggest thing is the crash bar from the inside. You know what I'm saying? You can't have a shaft, you can't have a lock, you can't have anything that stops people under an emergency situation from opening up that door and getting out. You guys will Normally, there's a key on the outside for some of these crash bars that, you know, whether you have that in your lockbox or your Knox box, that needs to be determined. But we'll make, whenever we see something that's not good, we're going to put that on the report also. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Maintenance. Fire escape stairways and balconies shall be kept clear and unobstructed at all times and shall be maintained in good working order.
So this is really maintenance. It's really about painting. Corey, we get a fire escape. Two things you need in order for me to sign off on a fire escape. Actually, three things. Must be structurally sound, must be kept painted so that it can continue to be structurally sound. Otherwise, you don't paint it. Every connection is suspect. And then the final piece of the puzzle, it must be load tested. Okay. And why? Because that's been the rule since 1927 in the NFPA. The NFPA, which we're going to read again and look at, says that fire escapes, the authority having jurisdiction, and that's you, Corey, shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength, which means the fire escape was fully refurbished, changed all the bolts. Those are the only two things that you either have to load test something that's old, 75 to 125 years old, or you've reformed it, you resurfaced it, you refurbished it to like new condition. Now load test is put off for the next 15 to 25 years, as long as we keep it painted. So maintenance is really talking about painting. You agree with that, Corey?
Yeah.
So I get a brown fire escape. Every connection is suspect until I load test it. Then you can keep that old bolt. But we recommend that most people have refurbished their fire escapes normally it's every 35, no more than 45 years. And that's a long time. So you start seeing square bolts on a fire escape. Mm-hmm. That means that's original to the fire escape. And that could be 50, 75 years old or more. And we're telling you, or a rivet. Now, as long as there's no rust inside that connection, we can just load test it and be done. Let's go, move on. And that's what we did with the one fire escape in your city. We have that other one. Any further news with Valentine? Is he
anybody? I spoke to him, and we're working with him because he had to dump a lot of money on some piping and electrical in that building. So we're working with him to give him a little bit of time to get his finances sorted out so he can get it load tested. But I talked to him about it, and he's you know, he understands that it's important to get it done. So
sure. And it's the law and it's the code.
Right.
The one thing that we will stress to you to help you get that to be a priority, not a, it's almost like a sprinkler system. It's almost like batteries on my exits. It's almost like, load testing an elevator that everybody uses every day. You may or may not know this, but I'm an expert witness on a lot of fire escape injuries and fatalities. And the first thing an insurance company looks for is non-certification, so they can just deny the claim. So if you start saying that, you say, listen, I'll give you a little bit more time to go find some money on your $1 million building. I'm saying, yep, I know you did this, I know that. But I'm concerned about tenants getting out and my firemen getting in. And let me tell you, right now, because you don't have a certified fire escape, you have insurance on your building. But any incident that occurs on that fire escape with you and your tenants or me and my men, you're not covered. The insurance is not going to cover it. Why? Because you have a non-functional, non-certified fire escape. But as soon as you load test that, what happens is now you have a functional, certified piece of equipment that may never get used in its lifetime. But that's the insurance company doesn't care. You give them an excuse not to pay a claim because something on your fire escape hurts somebody, they're going to deny claim. And I've had that. So, $150 million is what I've brought in on incidents that include injury and fatality. And my very first case ever involved a fireman who got hurt on a fire escape fighting the fire. And the owners got sued simply because the fire escape was not certified. And they said, oh, the insurance company is going to cover it. Nope, the insurance company was denying the claim because so the building came at risk to pay this fireman. And we were successful in that lawsuit simply because the fireman didn't hurt himself during work activity, fighting a fire. He was hurt, it was preventable. And that's the key in a lawsuit. Could Is it preventable and this guy would never get hurt? Yes. How? If they had a certified fire escape, he would be able to continue doing his job, fighting it, doing whatever he had to do, and use it to get out of the building in case things get crazy. So he was able to not only, sue the ownership of the building, to basically, and he was injured to the point where he couldn't work. He was 28 years old, and he was injured in his back because he fell through 4 treads. 4 treads gave way, and he fell right through the stairs, came down. At 28, he was basically injured, and he had to basically not work the rest of his life, but he sued them directly. So I think that's going to help you from now on, Corey. When you say, oh, you don't want a load test, you want a little bit of time, sure. Just, any incident occurs on this fire escape, either to your tenants or my men, the insurance is not going to cover the incident. The likelihood, they just need the excuse. And if you have non-certified sprinklers, non-certified elevators, non-certified battery-operated lights, exit lights, and non-certified fire escape, these are the things that people use to evacuate by themselves. So that hopefully will help you, Corey. Just say, yeah, well, you want some more time? You want 90 days? Sure. You know what I'm saying? But just, you're doing it at your own risk because insurance will not cover. All right, let's continue reading. Okay.
Next part is 1032.2.1.3, examination. Fire escape stairways and balconies shall be examined for structural adequacy and safety by a registered design professional or other person acceptable to the fire code official every 5 years.
So stop right there. Okay. So Corey, this first part of the line is very important. Fire escape stairways and balconies. Okay. So this means on certain buildings, Corey, balconies means areas of refuge. Okay.
Right.
So for the longest time, people just thought the main fire escape. But if there's areas of refuge where they can wait to be saved by you, those need to be examined. But in the whole country, balconies took a back seat. Understand? They became the bastard child, of a fire escape examination. Got it? Yep. So fire escape is fire escape. You can see it. It's got stairs. It's metal. But fire escapes are also wood. So, fire escapes can be a wood set of stairs that attach and get you out of your building. And a lot of times wood is allowed as a fire escape because it matches a wood building. So you can never have a metal fire escape. So a masonry building needs to have a metal fire escape. You could never put a wood fire escape on a masonry building. But as long as you match the building type and you're fire rated. So if you have a fire escape wood on a wood structure, it minimally must be 1.5 inches thick in all directions. So my treads are 1.5 inches, my platforms are 1.5 inches, my balusters are 1.5 inches, everything. You can't have any 5/4 decking. Okay. If it's the primary means of the egress getting out, so that's it. So and again, design professional, not a structural engineer. This is the code. Remember, design professional. Okay, and we have that on the first. So you don't need to be a structural engineer. You need to be a design professional and a registered architect. So if a registered architect shows up and he wants to inspect fire escapes in your city, you must accept them. They could be horrible or they could be good, not good. Doesn't matter. Okay. By the way, I think you guys are Bricer, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're going to show you the Bricer, how we would report to Bricer. And you guys currently, Corey, don't have a confidence test, correct?
Well, correct.
All right. So we're going to introduce a confidence test to you so that you and Wes and your fire marshal, right, say, okay, this is the approved one. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to skip and get prepared, Ben. Let's do which one you think is the best? Is it Long Beach, California, or is it Seattle? Who's got the best copycat? Because I think we did a copy of one of the best ones. So get that ready, Ben. Okay.
Hey, Cisco, to back up on the confidence test, I know basically how we vet is say like that guy Alfred that was here, that you guys were working with. Whoever is like able to do that work should go to Compliance Engine, get their account set up and where they could submit their documentation and everything. But for some reason, he was having an issue with that. And that's
No,
why
that's us. We're the ones that are going to submit.
So
we're already registered with Brycer.
Right, but Alfred wasn't.
He doesn't have to be.
Okay, so he can go to you guys?
Yeah, through us. And we're the ones that are going to submit. We're the ones that are going to submit to Brycer. Because remember, Alfred, to avoid having Alfred to register with them, I'm just saying that I'm going to show you several. So Brycer does not give a Firescape document. You have to give it to them. So we'll give you some suggestions, you know what I'm saying, of ones that you should have, right? And then now everybody like an Alfred. So if Alfred wanted to, work and submit to Brycer, he has just to register with Brycer and pay them their fee to join them. And then he would have to fill out a Firescape confidence test. We're going to show you that in a minute. You know what I'm saying? So, but Brycer doesn't tell you, here's the prototypical confidence test. You have to give him an approved one that you like. You know what I'm saying? So I'll suggest what you should have and the questions. We're going to go over that. You know what I'm saying? So that I'm not the only one that can go and do Merced jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Any design professional. And any engineer, civil, any registered architect, and then others acceptable to the building official, right? So go back to the code, please, Ben. So, and others acceptable to the building official, right? So not the building official, to the fire official. And why is that? Because for 100 years, fire escapes were in the building departments. Okay. IBC held it hostage for 100 years, and they never did anything about it. And then in 2012, that's how long ago, 12 plus years ago, the IFC finally said, guys, building department doesn't get hurt on these fire escapes. Tenants get hurt and firemen get hurt on this stupid thing. We need to bring it over to us, because building departments build structures, fire departments watch it for the rest of its life. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the building department finally just gave up. If you go to the building code right now, IBC, they'll all say, see the fire code. This is all yours now. Got it? Stay on top of it. It belongs to you. The building department is the only thing that's happening in the building department is that they're going to be called in for nothing else other than a permit is needed. And when is a permit needed for a fire escape? It's only needed when I'm extending the fire escape and I have to penetrate a wall. And it's only that extension on a fire escape is going to need a permit to penetrate a wall, and it needs an examination to verify the true bolt or to verify the epoxy bolt, right? And the construction of this physical extension. Under routine maintenance, which is in here, 1032 above here, it says, the fire escape shall be kept unobstructed and in good working order, which means structurally sound and must be kept painted. There's no permit need for me to change a bolt or 1,000 bolts on a fire escape.
Right.
Got it? It's routine maintenance. But I extend that baby in any way, or I take the fire escape and I want to put it on another side of the building, which involves penetrating the wall. The same fire escape can go to another part of the building. And all of a sudden now, you're going to need a permit. That's when you bring the building department in. Otherwise, for 100 years, they've done nothing with this. Got it?
Yep.
So it belongs to you. So now let's read. Others acceptable to you. Through the National Firescape Association, through the National Firescape Academy, we are certifying in the United States people to be certified firescape inspectors. Okay, we just had our first class in December this year. The year after year after year, we just keep training more and more people through our method of inspecting. So whenever you are in town, let me tell you how much it's going to cost for your certification. $300 an hour for an Alfred. 5 to 10 hours per system. They drive there, they get paid $300 an hour. They get there, they get paid. They drive back, they get paid. They go to their office, they manipulate the media, the paper, the drawings, report to Brycer. $2,000 to $3,000 easily for that engineer to handle one of your fire escapes. So that's the number. It's always going to be that number. It's only going up. Now you're going to have an architect. It's in the code, architect. Okay. Architects want $200 an hour on average. So expect him to spend 5 to 10 hours driving there, being there, driving back, manipulating the report. Okay. And they're going to get $2,000 for that one fire escape inspection that you want in your city. Certified fire escape inspectors, also known as others acceptable to the fire code official, you can have a fire protection company guy come at you and say, hey, Corey, let me tell you my expertise. You know, I'm a sprinkle guy, I'm a this guy, but I also, I took structural engineering courses or this, that, and the other thing. I want you to accept me, Corey. You know what I'm saying? Or they can come to you and say, hey, Corey, just, you know, I took a class and I worked with, and I have a certification from the Fire Escape Academy, approved and accepted by the National Fire Escape Association. I think I'm another. The person that taught me was Cisco's group. You know, they taught me how to, and here's some of my reports that I've done. Let me give you examples of my report. That's how you approve them. You get to approve anybody from, you know, a maintenance guy. You can have a guy that's an ornamental line worker. He says, Corey, I've built fire escapes, man. Let me tell you, I can build them from scratch, and I can inspect them, and I can do all these things. And you say, well, are you registered with the National Fire Escape Association? He goes, no, I'm not. You know, I don't know these people. I don't want to know these people, but I think I'm well qualified to, you know. And I charge $200 to go. Oh, I charge nothing. I go out and try to get work for myself. And you say, okay, well, I'll allow you to sign off on this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Corey, you may say, Corey, you may say somebody, you know what? I'll allow you, but go get a permit also, so I can have at least some eyes on this. Because, you know, I'm a firefighter. I don't know bolts from Shinola. You know what I'm saying? Got it? Yeah. You have all the power. Okay. Not the building department.
That's just for the examination, right? No load testing and all that.
Yeah, no, right. It's no, same thing. So I'm gonna get into load testing and explain that in a second to you. All right. So now let's read the second half. So read the second sentence there.
The examination shall determine whether the fire escape stairways and balconies can support the dead load plus a live load of not less than 100 pounds per square foot.
Perfect. Stay right there. Stay right there. So that's the load test. Do you know that in LA, there's never been a 5-year inspection rule?
Yeah, ever? I remember that from last seminar we were on.
So here you are, and you haven't done 5-year load tests either, because It finally came out in January 1, 2022, that this finally came out. So California has been behind the times, because they were relying, like San Francisco and like LA only inspected ladders and cantilevers. They wanted you to kind of look at the rest of it, but not really. You know what I'm saying? So there's, you know, and it's going to take a death and a tragedy for them to wake up and get going. But on your end, you haven't done it either, because, you know, fire escapes are built like a brick shit house, you know, and you really don't have to, you know, oh, it's good. I'm more worried about the inside sprinklers, the inside extinguishers and stuff like that. Not realizing this is your code. So can a city get sucked in and says, you know, the code is there, how come you're not enforcing it? You know what I'm saying? That could happen. But again, it's just a minor inconvenience, because, as you know, cities get sued all the time, and they have a limit of how much, you know, somebody not doing their job, you know, how much they're liable for. You know what I'm saying? As you know. But here's the dead load and live load. Now, this code has been around since 1927 in the NFPA. The authority having jurisdiction, you shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. It never had the word live load in your code. You understand? So this is now where in all of California, not just you have to have somebody load test these 75 to 125-year-old structures. And what is that? The first examination is outside. We look for rust outside. We look for cracked cement outside. We look at rust jacking outside. We look for broken welds outside. And then we load test it to see if we can rip it off the building that is 75 to 125 years old. Well, when's that important? When your men are on it fighting a fire.
All right.
So we're going to talk about what does a live load test look like. So we're going to get there in a second. So this is where live load test comes from. So people say, well, I've never done it for 30 years. Why are you picking on me, Corey? Like, I'm not picking on you. It's the code now that these old things need to be load tested. Well, how can I avoid the load test? Refurbish. So again, back to the NFPA, the authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. Other evidence of strength, Corey, is you changed every bolt on your fire escape. and you verify the connection into the building. And if not, it's easy for you to duplicate the connection into a building to not have to disturb the connection into your building by simply putting an epoxy bolt to the left or to the right of the implement going into the building. That's how simple it is. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, if I change all the bolts on your entire fire escape, I'm going to show you what a load test looks like, Corey. We just load test the bracket only because, you know, we didn't drill holes into the building, but every rail, every stair stringer, every tread, none of that gets load tested because you changed all its bolts. Or, especially in rivets, you put a bolt next to two rivets. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as you produce other evidence of strength, there is no load test. Got it?
Okay.
Now read the last piece of this puzzle. You'll love this piece. Good.
An inspection report shall be submitted to the fire code official after such examination.
So what's that mean, Corey? Within 1 to 3 days of an examination, I'm going to send you one little document, and all it's going to say. And Ben, can you share that one little document? This is not even Brycer yet.
I'll have to search for the document up.
Okay, it's on one of your. It's on any one of your reports. You know, the initial evaluation document. So Corey, what's that mean? That means within 1 to 3 days of an examination, and we call you. Remember how we called you, say, hey, would you like to witness one of these? I highly recommend anybody that's inspecting in your city, you go visit them during an inspection. In LA, you're required to notify the fire department 2 days before. It's in your license requirement, 2 days before, to invite them to visit the examination. And a majority of the times they never show up. But that's I'm supposed to. So we continue with the LA standard and say, hey, we notify you a couple of days before, the day of. And this is the document we're going to send you. You see this document?
Yep.
This is not a Brycer document. This can easily be an engineer's one single page. And it says, hey, my clients, the address here, it either passed or failed, right? That's the only two options. Or it has life safety concerns. That's your option, because now you're going to act quicker. What's the life safety concern? Broken treads, closed doors, whatever it may be. Otherwise, you're going to get a pass fail. We're not going to tell you, this is how we're going to fix the treads. This is how we're going to fix the rails. You know, we're going to 11 bolts are gone. We're not going to talk to you about that. You're supposed to just get an initial evaluation document that says passed or failed. Is it still functional? Right? While you're getting some of these minor things repaired. We'll tell you all that in this document. You get this copy, the client gets this on an email copy. So as we start talking with you and we start telling the client, you know, here's who we have to follow. Corey wrote you the violation. Here it is. Corey's on this email chain. As we back and forth with the client, he gives us any problems. You're watching the email like, well, it's for Corey to decide, not us. You know what I'm saying? Such as examples as lighting. You know, all egresses must have lighting, right? You know how many fire escapes don't have a single light on it?
Yeah, I was just gonna.
And we have to just say, hey, it's not a major issue during this load testing, but Corey would like you to be compliant so that all exits, all exterior exits are covered by a light. That's all. And it's a simple add-on anytime after the fact. So back to the page. So Corey, you're going to get this document from not just us, and this has nothing to do with Brycer. Do you understand? Brycer doesn't want this. We're just telling you within 1 to 3 days of an examination, and if it's a weekend, maybe 5 days, you know what I'm saying? Hey, pass, failed, life safety. Because if there's life safety, you have to be in touch with the owner of the property right away so that he can't tell us what he is or is not doing. We don't want the liability. And you deal with him, whether you're going to close the building, fire watch the building, or whatever needs to be done. It's you and this client because of this one document we send you. Okay.
All
right. Let's go back now to the code, and that covers the examination. Okay. And we're going to talk about load testing. What else we have further down? Anything else? This is something else, right? Going down below. Exit signs, right? Finishes, and I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything else. Inspection. This other stuff has nothing to do with the fire escape now because we just covered. So let's take a look now. Let's get back to let's take a look at the violations page. You know, the one that so Corey, every time you write a violation and somebody calls us, we send them this document. Okay. This is the same document we're going to send to you so you can have this available to yourself. And what is this? Here's how inspection, certification, and load testing need to be done. So we explain it. Scroll down a little bit more. So video watch it, or we just read it. Step 1, right? Before an inspection takes place, we contact the authority having jurisdiction. That's you, Corey, to discuss and obtain approval that for our inspection procedure, load testing process. You know what I'm saying? You're invited to witness the pre-load test evaluation, and you're invited to witness the full load test if necessary, right? So let's play one of the little videos on the right side. So just 30 seconds of that play. Can you turn on the volume, Ben? We can't hear anything yet. Do you have to?
Let me try redoing the reshare. Let's see.
Corey, as we're going into this, any questions so far from you and Wes? I think we have another person in here, Manny. Corey, I don't know if you know that, but we have a Manny that popped in.
I think Corey's having some issues with connection.
Yep.
So you may need to repeat the question.
So Corey, we have a Manny that stepped in. Is that one of your?
Right. That's the fire marshal.
Available.
Perfect. All right. So again, this page is to help people understand what we're required to do with you, Corey. But at the same time, you know, if they want to see a typical fire escape inspection, they can just play a video. So examples, written out, but examples of a typical video. So play a little bit of that inspection. She's punched through and welded, so that's pretty good. But she's fully rust jacked down here, as you can see. And the brackets going into the building, they have skim coated this top, and that's usually an indication that they don't want to repair the wall. And the wall down below has got a lot of water. I don't know if it's coming from the roof, but we got a lot of water. Okay. Thank you, Ben. So that is a typical inspection, and the client gets photographs of the problems. The client gets a video. So we go up the fire escape taking photographs. We go down the fire escape video pointing and saying boom, 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 boom. Corey, you don't get this unless you request this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm only required to give you the initial evaluation, and that's saying it passed, it failed, it's in progress. You know what I'm saying? You're part of my email chain. At any time, you can say, give me a copy of this. I like the client. I don't like this client. You know, we're really concerned about safety at this building, blah, blah, blah. So at any time you ask for the results of this, and that's the activity, you know, like what's going to be done to this thing? How severe is everything? Just ask for the report. Otherwise, you don't get the report. Neither does Brycer. We're going to show you how we report to Brycer. They don't even get a report. It's not what the code says. You know what I'm saying? So Bryson doesn't care how I fix it. Bryson just wants me to have an initial evaluation. So within 1 to 3 days, we report, but then we have to report to Brycer that the fire escape passed or failed. But then we have to report to Brycer. We don't report to them the what needs to be done. It's at the end when it's all done. We have to report back to them, right, Ben, that the fire escape was fixed. And we have to redo another Brycer submission saying we fixed it, but they don't care how you fix it.
When the inspection is done, we have, depending on what template for the report form that the AHJ uses, I know that Seattle uses a 25 questionnaire that you answer, but you don't actually upload anything. For Merced, they have this template where you have to add and attach a fire escape report, but also add one deficiency per row for that to be recognized by the system.
Okay, you're not sharing your screen, so reshare your screen because it was just the wheel of death.
All right, got it. Do you see the screen now?
Hold on. Does anybody else see the screen?
It's just black.
Yeah, it's not coming through yet.
Try stop share. Start video. Try share again.
And by the way, we're over here in San Francisco on Treasure Island. We're right near the training center for San Francisco on Avenue M, but we're also, our offices are on Avenue of the Palm. And that's where we're teaching this class from today.
Okay.
So we're not that far. And we inspect the whole country as well as San Diego to Sacramento.
Share screen. I'm gonna try leaving the meeting or try and refresh.
Okay. So while we're doing that, I'll have Corey, any questions so far on anything that we've talked so far about? Or Wes?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. So the key right now is a lot of times you're going to be writing violations and you don't even know if the fire escape's in good or bad condition. That's not what it's about. You're just saying, hey, in order for you to be compliant and the insurance is going to deal with anything happening on that fire escape. I'm seeing the screen now. Go ahead.
So continuing on from where I last left off, the Merced version uses attaching the final fire escape report as well as listing the deficiencies per row. This is in comparison to, let me pull up Seattle's, where you have to answer this 25-point question or 24-point question, and there is no file upload for this.
So this is something we can give to the designer or the engineer, and then they can submit this back to us?
Correct. Because they're going to get confused here. Because right now, attach original copy of fire escape inspection, testing, and maintenance report. It's 3 things. So you're talking about the inspection, okay? So the inspection is just that 1-page document. Testing, you're not supposed to test until you've determined that there is no repairs of any kind. And so the testing report is a separate document that is an extra charge to the very client, because inspections can be anywhere from $689 to $1,489. You know what I'm saying? For a typical certified fire escape inspector, $2,000 to $3,000 when you bring architects and engineers in. Okay, and that's just to submit the inspection only, attach the file. We're done. Now they say, oh, testing. Well, that's a different. They've agreed to pay $2,500, $3,500, $5,500, $6,500 to load test their fire escape. Okay, separate client documentation needs to be submitted for that. And then it says the maintenance report. Well, the maintenance report doesn't come from an initial examination. The maintenance report is an action plan that says change this bolt, fix this bolt, do this cement, do this other thing. And that is another charge to the client to have them watch the vendor do that. So it's all controlled by a design professional, architects, or others acceptable. You know what I'm saying? So the action plan is another file that has to be attached. It doesn't get all attached in the get-go, because a lot of these inspections start with an initial evaluation, not at a load test and not a maintenance report. Do you understand that?
Right.
So we recommend you do like Seattle. So go back to Seattle, please. This is the first one you want from everybody. Just have them fill this out. And you can literally just copy Seattle. Just say, okay, we've read it. We'll help you design a one that has less loopholes, you know what I'm saying, in it, right? But basically, you want these questions. What is this? This is all the components on a fire escape. So whether you have a very good or a very bad engineer, architect, or others inspecting your fire escape, let them fill this out, because this is where the liability is on us now to do the right thing for you. Do you understand?
So the sequence here, so I'm out, see fire escape. I don't know if it's been tested or anything, so I send it to the owner. Hey, here's a violation. And then if they could prove that it was tested, we can sign them off. But if they need to get it inspected, now they pick somebody to come out to do the inspection. That inspector comes to us. We have them fill this out just so we can vet them. And then we approve them or deny them. And then they can go out and do
No,
that
no.
other page.
If they're going to be inspecting and they have to register with Bricer.
Right.
So anybody, you write this violation, and all you tell the people, whoever you get, make sure they register with Bricer first.
So
Bricer checks out that they're an engineer, they're an architect, or they're other certified.
okay.
So Bricer does that.
So that's what the issue was with the Alfred guy here.
Correct.
Right.
He just needed to register himself, pay the fee to join Bricer.
And for some reason that wasn't working out for him. So I don't know what that was all about.
So he would fill out this in this initial examination. He would go there, walk the whole thing like we did. You know what I'm saying? And then he would have to fill this out. So let's go through some of the questions. We'll go through quickly. Ben, go through quickly on the questions. You're going to see how thorough this is. And you're going to be confident that your engineer, your architect, or your certified inspector is doing his job correctly, because this is all liability. I can lie on this document and be held liable should somebody get injured. Do you understand?
Yep.
This document also proves that I have insurance and workers' comp, and I have proper licensing. Do you understand? That's all it is. You don't have to do any of that. You just say, I'll allow anybody who's registered with Bricer to inspect any fire escape in my city.
Right.
Okay, so now let's go through some of the questions quickly. Go.
Yeah, we have subdivisions of the 25 question is divided into subdivisions. One is general. So this is the paint question. Is it painted and being maintained?
Perfect.
Is it clear and unobstructed? Also talks about AC units, window guards, and such. Another one is about electricals.
Is there any power lines so close to the fire escape that if you're fighting a fire, you're not going to electrocute everybody on the fire escape? Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Keep going.
Yeah, this one is about a tag for easy recognition of whether the system passes, fails, or has major deficiencies.
Okay. So we need a tag. You know how big their tags are? 11 by 19, right? Right, Ben?
This one's 9 by 17.
9 by 17. Sorry, 9 by 17. You see that? That's huge. That's going to tell your firemen when they show up that the fire escape, which is white tag, yellow tag, or red tag, white tags have passed the load testing, have done everything. All right. Yellow tags means it's under repair, but still functional. Red tags means there's life safety concerns. Nobody gets on it, including firemen. Okay.
Next section is about structural review, which is basically load test question and whether all materials are non-combustible. Right.
And when all materials are non-combustible, that means it has to be metal. It has to be fire rated. So I can have a fire escape that is 1.5 inches thick. That's fire rated. It'll burn, but it'll take a longer time to burn through 1.5 inches thick in all directions. Got it?
Yep.
Now look at the next questions. Imagine this is, imagine this is Alfredo asking every one of these questions. Asked every one of these questions, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, so primary support structure and all of the components on the fire escape system with whether there are defects on the component or not. So bolts and rivets.
Internal rust. I apologize, Ben. I'm just going to come in and stop you once in a while. Corey, any internal rust and every bolt and rivet. You see how difficult this inspection is?
Yep.
Every rivet on the railings, on the treads, on the sports, and everyone must be free of internal rust or identified as needing repair before the load test, or if they're minor but there's still internal rust after the load test. You can fix it before the load test because you have to, or you can fix it after the load test because you need to. Got it?
How do you guys determine internal rust?
You see it. It's visual. It's right there. It's and we'll show you examples of good connections on the same fire escapes and bad connections on the same fire escape. It's night and day. You know what I'm saying? It's the wolf. We got to not only have a picture of the wolf, we have a video of the wolf in action. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what you want from any engineer, any architect. Great. Next one.
Then it just goes through each of the components, joints and plates, nails and screws if it's a wood system.
So there you go. Stop right there. Corey, I'm going to be looking at wood systems for you that are fire escapes on a wooden structure. And they were built 15, 25, 35, sometimes 45 years ago, Corey. And we don't load test wood. We throw tons of iron at it. All these clips that you can get at Home Depot. You know what I'm saying? Straps, metal straps and screws. No more nails. You know what I'm saying? And what's that for? To buy you 5 or 10 more years on a fire escape that's made of wood only. So this is where it shows up. So Alfredo having to answer every one of these questions puts him in liability. You understand?
Yep.
Okay, can continue on the components.
Stair stringers, treads, hand railings, ladders are balanced and fixed, supports, platforms. Then we have anchoring devices, which deals with through bolts, lag bolts, and all fastener connections to the wall, as well as any of the connections against the building. The connections are sufficient to support the required loads. That's basically part of the load test. And then if it's not connection to the building, then it's any posts to grade. And then you have a section about counterbalance and ladders, which is any cantilevered ladders or counterweight ladders or stairs. So whether they're balanced and operationable, so are they too overweight on one side such that a person will have to go to the end of the system for it to actually lower, whether they drop and stay at grade when properly, require no special knowledge, whether they were tested. So this is kind of like SF housing, I think it was 604 or 908, or Los Angeles Regulation 4, where the assembly must be tested every year such that they're functional. Whether the fasteners and connections for those assemblies are in good condition. And whether this one is about whether the ladder term ends at grade or whether it stops short of grade. Since there are, in some cities, they have pre-existing ladder constructions which are fixed and terminate maybe 10, 11 feet above grade, and then tenants would have to drop.
Let me stay on that one. That was an abuse of the law. Okay. And so, Corey, back to you. Do you think a little old lady can jump 9 feet off the ground from the last rung? Is 9 feet off the ground. You think a little old lady or an 8-year-old child will jump 9 feet to the ground?
No.
So this is an abuse of a building code, not a fire code. And what it said in that code, okay, everywhere in the nation, and it's misinterpreted right here. People used to cut off their fire escape ladder that came all the way to the ground because people were breaking in. And what the code said is that the fixed portion of a ladder can stop at 9 feet in the air, and the rest of the ladder could be a fold-out ladder, an accordion ladder. It could be anything that completes it to the ground, but you can stop 9+ feet off the ground, but with a fixed ladder. So on a 5-story fire escape, everybody comes down fixed ladders. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden they get to the last portion, which could be 9 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet off the ground. And they said, how are we going to get down? Well, we can continue with this ladder down to 9 feet off the ground. But then from there, we need to have a fold-out ladder, an accordion ladder, counterbalanced ladder, or a counterbalanced fire escape system. So this is us asking quite a few questions, but let's continue with the last one. We're at the ladder now. We're talking about the status, the tag status, right?
Yes. So the tag, we have tag status given, which is white, yellow, or red. This one's yellow because it does have deficiencies on the system, so it does not qualify as a white no deficiency tag. Last one is about whether you're a registered design professional or other acceptable to the AHG as per the Seattle Fire Code, that same section.
Yep.
Which is
and in order to even play with Brycer, you must register with Brycer. So they're going to verify all this information. Okay.
Okay.
So now, compared to the one we currently fill out for you, this is the one you should have, something like this. Otherwise, in the first 2 questions up above, you're asked to report 3 times, yet the client hasn't engaged you. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about, and let's look at a typical inspection report. Let's look at the one we did for you down there. Okay. Remember we got there and we looked at, and this is a report to the client, not to you. You just got a document that said, hey, passed, failed, ready for load test. So the client gets this. This is a second document, you know what I'm saying, that the it's the what do you call it? It's not the repair report. This tells you what the problems are, not where they are and how you're going to fix it. Just saying.
Okay.
So let's talk about, in general, to the client, not to you, what he got to see. So scroll down a little bit more. Some pictures of some of our concerns. You don't get to see this. You don't got time. Unless you ask for this, do you understand? If you ask for this, you get this too. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
We have some percentage failures, you know, the paint failed, you know, in this percentage, the stringers failed. We have this questionnaire here. So, you know, we asked those 25 questions. See them here? Or is this the 15?
This is a 15 since this system had
residential, right? So residentials get a shorter version because they don't care. They don't want to read 25 steps. They just want to know, you know, what some of the things. So we talk about everything here. Paint. We talk about paint. We talk about structural. And then at the end, we talk about code. And a lot of times down at the very bottom, the code thing we talk about is lights are missing. There's a power line coming to your fire escape and it's not protected. You know what I'm saying? For short, we tell the client, hey, here's some of the general problems on your fire. This is not a repair this is not a repair report. Okay.
All right.
So then, and it covers the three things. In general, these things failed. You need to get this looked at. You need to hire now us for the next phase, and that is to create an action plan off of all these reports and videos that we've done. So, and at the very bottom, here's the only document you're going to get. It's just this document. It says it passed, failed, life safeties are available to you or not. At any time, you can ask for a report. Now, here comes the action plan. Okay. The action plan is that if we're going to tell people what to do, and again, the client hires us after the inspection, they give us another $3,000, $5,000, whatever it may be for us to control a vendor. You know what I'm saying? So let's say they paid $689. Now it's $3,000 for us to watch a certified vendor do the job who doesn't need watching, hand holding, or anything like that. Doesn't need anybody showing up on site. You know what I'm saying? That's called project management oversight. But he has questions. Well, let's scroll down. We would show him these drawings. We would speak with him on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And we would say, this is what it looks like behind the wall with the through bolt or just embedded. You know what I'm saying? So this is what legs to the ground looks like. This is your treads. This is what you do on the stringers. This is what any engineer who's watching this, you understand, Corey? So if the client picks somebody else and he did the initial evaluation for $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000, he now needs to get paid to watch a vendor repair this, okay? Fire escape engineers does not repair fire escapes. Fire escape services repairs fire escapes under the watch of fire escape engineers. You got it? So cantilevers are discussed, missing catwalks on roofs are discussed. We have all these drawings to help in the proposal. So scroll down a little bit more. Let's talk about some of these codes. So you see the NFPA Life Safety Code 101? The authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. So you know load testing is not mandatory for every fire escape in your city. If they've changed all the bolts, there is no load test. Or it's an integrated load test. You know, some minor things left behind, we only load test those things. OSHA requires 1910.37. Exit routes must be maintained during construction, repairs, alterations to provide alternative egress with equivalent level of safety to the AHJ. So if somebody's gutting a building, a 10-story building in your downtown, and they have a fire escape on it, they have two choices. They have to certify and load test the existing fire escape during renovation, or they can scaffold the building, mothball the fire escape until it gets done at the end, if that's their choice. But now you and your firemen have an alternative way to get the workers out and you get in by using the scaffolding. Okay? There's also a concern here with the EPA lead law. Some of these fire escapes older than 1978 have a base of lead. Unless they're galvanized, then there is no base of lead. But they have a top coat of paint on them, but that's not lead-based paint. Got it?
Okay.
All right, let's scroll down some more. These are the options for clients. What kind of options do you have? First option that we have is the responsible party part, okay? And it says that Corey wants to know who's watching this. He doesn't want to know who's repairing it. He wants to know, is there an action plan? He wants to know who's watching the vendor do the job, because vendors, you leave them alone, they'll paint the thing and run away, take all the money. So they want to know who's in charge of this. Do you have an architect in charge of this vendor? Do you have an engineer in charge of this vendor? Do you have another's acceptable to me in charge of this vendor? So that's what this responsible party assignment, and all architects, engineers, including ourselves, we don't do that for free. You know what I'm saying? We charge a fee. Could be 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. Could be whatever the size and complexity of the situation is. Somebody has to be the responsible party watching the action plan that may or may not need a permit. So don't forget, you know, city officials can still stick their nose in something and say, I want a permit. Well, it's included in here to say permits and fees are extra in case all of a sudden your building official says, I don't care, I want a permit on it. So just so you know, you could be overridden by, you know, these city officials, but only, again, we'll fight and say, nope, if we're extending the fire escape, yes, give me a permit just for the extension. This is routine maintenance. I don't need a permit to paint. I don't need a permit to change 1 bolt or 1,000 bolts because I'm replacing with like and kind. So there's no structural questions coming up. Like I take a 3/8 bolt out, I put a 3 bolts in. What's the only thing you did? I removed the rust inside of it. And if all of a sudden, but there's deterioration, there's, you know, all kinds of problems. Yeah, I reinforced that metal clip. I reinforced that metal tube. I reinforced it with like and kind. Okay. Or I replaced it with like and kind. Or, and this is where you trigger a permit. No, you know, I'm taking the brackets out and I'm putting all these legs to the ground. Guess what? That's going to need a permit.
Gotcha.
So and there's a gray area there. And if we get caught by the building official who wants his permit fees, it's okay. Better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. But to uncomplicate this, Corey, you know, people can self-fix a fire escape. Okay?
Right.
So scroll down, please. Let me tell you the different types of ways that you can fix a fire escape. Corey, this is very important. Full restoration, full paint, chocolate and vanilla, man, 25-year warranties, no load test for the next 15 to 25 years. Keep it painted. That's what's called a full restoration. That's other evidence of strength. You're like, thank God. It's a 125-year-old building, and all of a sudden, you know, you just did a full refurb. Every bolt came out of every tread, every rail, every bracket, everything. And all of a sudden, even into the building, you put epoxy bolts next to the connection, and you made a mechanical connection, so the cement stayed. And right next to it, I have this beautiful Hilti bolt, epoxy bolt, and it's embedded 8 to 12 inches deep, not through the veneer course. It's all the way into the back, 2nd and 3rd and 4th course of bricks. Okay?
So if you refurbished a fire escape and 5 years go by, you have to load test it.
Nope, no more load testing.
What's the requirement for those new bolts and whatever you refurbish?
Yeah, it says it's at my discretion, and we will sign off on it, okay, for the next 15 to 25 years, as long as he keeps it painted, because I have other evidence of strength. I get there, whether it's our networks group work or just anybody else's work. No welding of any kind. You understand? Welding is forbidden. I'm going to show you the code that says welding of a bolted fire escape system is forbidden. It's against the law. The only state that put it into the law was New York. You know what I'm saying? Because there was so much abuse there. A fire escape must breathe, must expand and contract, and the only way it can is with rivets and bolts. So when 5 years go by, and whether we did the work or somebody else did the work, there is no load testing because other evidence of strength is present. And that's a code that's been around since 1927. You know what I'm saying? That says if other evidence of strength is present, there is no more load testing. It's beneficial for somebody to give you a reason not to load test. You know what I'm saying? You want these people to say, hey, my 75 to 125-year-old building, I changed all the electrical inside. I changed all the plumbing inside. You know what I'm saying? I did all new floors. I did all new this and all new that. And my 75 to 125-year-old fire escape outside, I did the same thing. I changed every bolt, every rivet, and any welds that were there, I backed it up with a backup bolt now. So that way I am eliminating load testing. And can it go 25 years and 35 years? Sure it can. If all of a sudden the guys keep it painted, I'm not concerned about the connection anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm more than satisfied, and I'm willing to put my license and my insurance on the line to saying this thing ain't going nowhere. And that's why it's when other evidence of strength is present, you do not load test. So it's in my best interest to.
So the load test requirement is more concerned with the original.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Good way to put it. Right. All right. Next thing, people like, so let's give it a number. And let's give it a high number so you can understand. Some of these 5-story, 8-story systems are $100,000 in full restoration. Got it? Or more. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh, dude, I don't have the money. You know what I'm saying? I want to do the right thing. This is a legacy building. We're not getting rid of it. We're not selling it. I just don't have $100,000. So spot restoration and full paint. Okay. So what happens is these people through our program, nobody else offers this, but you can, we can say, listen, invest into it. So $60,000 now, right? And the remaining $40,000 in the next 1 to 5 years can be done. You know what I'm saying? So that you can get the 25-year warranty. So some people say, or financing. We have third-party financings available for these people. So there's no excuse I don't have the money. It's like, dude, there's financing available. So Vincent, can take advantage of financing, not us. We use a third-party financier, I'm saying, that will loan him the money on his property, I'm saying, to fix this fire escape. And in some cases, we also offer clients 90-day financing, which is interest-free, which we basically say, hey, it's a $50,000 job, put up 25, and the remaining 25 will spread it out over 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So all these people who are doing this kind of work should be able to offer some sort of financing to your people in Merced. Okay. So that's called spot restoration. Now, anything I leave behind needs to be load tested. It's called an integrated load test. So everything that we change bolts on, no load tests. So we changed all the tread bolts, no load testing on the treads. We changed all the railing bolts, no load testing on the rails. Oh, but we didn't do the brackets. Okay, only the brackets, called an integrated load test. So it's at the end of it also, you sleep well at night, we sleep well at night. There is a load test of the remaining components that are original. Got it?
Okay.
But 5 years from now, you change all those. Now there's no load testing for the next 15 to 25 years, backdated 5 years. You know what I'm saying? From the original date. Now, this is the spot restoration. So other people should be offering this, you know what I'm saying? But not everybody. But you're like, hey, do some of it now and leave behind the least likely things that can wait another 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And in some cases, don't fully paint it, just spot paint it for now and use any extra money towards bolts. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now let's talk about we call it the dirty dog. Spot repair, spot paint. Now, this is somebody saying, I'm selling the building. I just want to pass. And so in conversations with you, Corey, we're like, okay, Corey, here's what we can do for this situation. Little old lady situation, a very poor situation that's going on with a housing situation. You just want it to be safe. So we only deal with the distressed connections. We only deal with, if we have a rusty connection, I can take that bolt out, leave the rust inside that connection, put a brand new bolt and load test it. Do you understand? It'll go 5 years. So here we have this ugly fire escape. We reinforce all the distorted metal, any deterioration on metals. And it's the dirty dog. You're saying, Cisco, I just need to kick this down the road, but I want to feel safe about it. So at the end of the minimum activity that needs to be done to it, and we still fully load test it. And then we let these people know, because you're involved with us on this, allowing this to occur. I'll give you over the next 5 years to sell this building. I don't want to hear from you anymore. You're just, penny pinching or whatever the situation may be. But our load test is what guarantees, and we'll reinforce everything necessary so that minimally it passes the load test. 5 years from now, Corey, you want a full refurb or you want a brand new fire escape. And you write that in the file of the jacket. You know what I'm saying? Can they dirty dog it 5 years from now? You say, no. I gave you 5 years to get your penny together or sell the building to somebody who's going to do the right thing. But the load test is what you go to bed with, and you say, if they load tested it, it passed the load test. Should an incident occur on that fire escape in the next 5 years, it's an act of God. Do you understand? So if it didn't fail today, but it fails 3 years from now, something happens. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? The insurance will cover it because it's an act of God. Because the day we load tested, nothing happened. Something else occurred, and 3 years later, somebody got hurt. We're all going to go to court anyway. But you know what I'm saying? But we did what the law said. We did the load test. Got it? It's called the dirty dog. It's an option for you. And a lot of times when we're talking the dirty dog with clients, we'll tell them, your city official is going to be involved in this decision, because you may come back and say, nope, I don't want a dirty dog. They either do it right or I'm not empty the building. So do you see how much power you have, Corey?
Yeah.
All right. Let's scroll down some more. We give this to every client. And this is when clients need to get other bids. This is nothing more than the repair vendor's information, license numbers, insurance, the repair vendor, and three fire escape references that they had in the past year. Make sure they have all these licenses. This is just a document we give to clients to say, if you're going to get some other bids, make sure they fill out this. Otherwise, Corey is not going to accept this. You know what I'm saying? If all of a sudden you have Joe Vendor, welding guy, and he wants to show up with a welding machine, Corey's already like, no, he's not qualified. Has nothing to do with Brycer. Do you understand? Brycer doesn't care. You care. And then, we have to talk about permits, whether there's a permit or not. Scroll down a little bit more. This is when we get clients that say, hey, I got a vendor, but he hasn't sent me a proposal yet. This is, scroll down a little bit more. It says clearly, a formal proposal contract will replace this verbal acceptance document. So this is not a contract between the vendor and the client. This is just so they can get pricing. And what is the pricing? What's the total amount? What's the structure? What's the structural portion of this repair quote? What is my paint amount? What is my engineering oversight cost? And what is the load test amount? As you can see, so something that says 25,000 can have 10,000 in structural, can have 5,000 in paint, can have 5,000 in engineering, and 5,000 in load testing. And then this little box down here is just where they write, I'm going to replace the treads, I'm going to paint the job, I'm going to fix the brackets, I'm going to, little stupid things down here. But this is not a contract. This is just to help you make sure that in some cases, if you're a little weary about the who's going to actually fix it, you want to know who's the responsible party, and that's an engineer, architect, or a design professional, and who the vendor is, and did he fill out this form for the client? So because in some cases you're going to have to help the client understand that Joe, local welding guy next door, can't help them fix this fire escape protection. It's a fire protection piece of equipment. Fire escapes in the state of California, especially LA, is a fire protection piece of equipment, regulated. Okay, not other states, but here. All right, so let's get out of here, and let's get back to the that page there where the violations page. We'll send you this as a link if you want to share it with other people as you write violations. And again, this is informative. You understand? It's informative. Scroll down and see the one that's the wood. Play the little wood one from the middle somewhere. So if you have a wood structure, believe it or not, this project has a before and after. It's a great video, and it shows how homeowners can fix their own wood structures if they have the skill set. You know what I'm saying? Doing a wood deck, rear porch. Fire escape must be structurally sound, must be kept painted or stained in this case. And any evidence of so play in the middle somewhere. There, she's loose here. Yeah.
Well, with this going for another 5 years.
This is it. Keep playing this. Look at all that new metal.
Construction.
Play for a little bit.
Everything got put back that was requested on the original. Okay. Cap over, corners, as you can see here. Even some of this, they strapped it. Look at all the caulking inside those cracks. Okay. This basically stops any more what we call freeze and thaw and ice jacking. So got it. So all the pieces got done. Some additional pieces got removed. Look, good stuff. A lot of stuff like this can be done by the homeowner, but again, in some cases, it does need a permit from the city because some can be done on the homeowner's permit. Some, if it's a inspection of or repair of a investment property, it does need a permit. But again, that's to be decided by the city official to how far he wants to take it. But this might be on the routine maintenance, which might not need a permit.
Perfect. Thank you.
But-
So you see, Corey, you need to help people and they need to know where they can go. Can they do it themselves? Sure they can, because it doesn't need a permit. You know what I'm saying? It's just routine maintenance on a wood and or metal structure. So don't complicate this. Oh my God, there's another 20 grand I don't have, or 30 grand. You know, so people, if they have the responsible party watching them, you know what I'm saying? So there's licensing and stuff required, but every now and then I have homeowners and with handymen, you know, go take care of minor structural issues, you know what I'm saying, themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
So scroll down. Let's read step 2. Once the AHJ has informed to conduct a visual inspection, a site visit, photographs, video. We're the only one that does the video so far. Do it, please. It just makes it so easy for the client to know what's going on, photos and videos. Cost of the inspection, it's here. And it's $200 to $300, $2,000 to $3,000, or if you have a certified fire escape inspector, they're usually $1,000. Okay, so it's a huge cost savings for the clients to use certified people, that because you are allowed to pick 3 people. So $100 to $300 an hour is the average cost. So scroll down some more. Everybody wants 5 to 10 hours at the site. Let's click on that load testing video right there. So, like, what is the load test? Well, let's look at one. We provide you actual video of a load test in progress. It's not easy. Look.
Here we are proceeding.
And we're doing the San Francisco fire tower. Look at this.
Guy here taking measurements. He's recording accordingly. And we've got Cisco pre-strapping all the way up so that we can get all the floors accordingly. You can see the purple and the blacks flailing in the wind, ready to be strapped on. All this weight here, all this weight here, and then as soon as he goes, this turns on and this turns on at the exact same time, so that we do the 15-minute on this.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Ben.
We also have.
So, how much pounds? You know, a typical 5x5 platform is 25 square feet. Times 100 pounds, 2,500 square feet. And I have a choice: put the weights on the actual platform and carrying them up the stairs, or put all the weights at the ground and exert 2,500 pounds, or take 2,500 pounds and put on the left bracket, do 1,250 pounds, and on the right bracket, do 1,250 pounds. Because, you know, fire escapes are to be load tested in a sequence, in a process. And you got to hear that. Well, we showed you a video of us doing a fire tower. And we could do a fire tower for you down in Merced. If you have a training center somewhere that has a fire tower, let us go load test that fire escape tower for your group in your area. Okay, so scroll down some more. We talked about the immediate documentation, right? And to the right, there's the Sacramento Fire Escape Seminar. So you want to just watch and just go there? Let's do it, right? Let's go down to the reports, phase 2 full inspection reports, 7 to 10 business days. For that report, you know, that shiny piece of paper, you don't get it, the client gets it. And then from that, the client says, okay, I want to hire you guys to watch. We have an additional report on top of that to watch the vendor do the job, unless they choose to, you know, stay within the network and just, you know, get it all done one-stop shop, right? And then scroll down some more. Lots of read here, you know what I'm saying? Recertification, who determines if a load test is required? It's me. You know what I'm saying? But also you're going to say, I want this thing load tested. Why? It says it in the code. You know what I'm saying? So I have some city officials like, yeah, I'm not really, I don't care about the load test. I said, okay, if I choose to, I said, listen, let me give you an opinion on this fire escape, but I need to send you, the client, a disclaimer of liability that says we didn't load test it, so you're going to hold me harmless if a court case occurs in the next 5 years. I'm going to send the fire inspector a disclaimer that says, hey, you're accepting an opinion versus a load test, and I'd like the city to hold me, you know, harmless in case there's a lawsuit of any kind that affects a fireman or a tenant. And then I want them to send it to their insurance agent the local insurance agent, to say, hey, just so you know, the law says load test, but the city official says, yeah, I'm not so big on load testing. You know what I'm saying? Because you might as well stop load testing fire hydrants. You know, you might as well stop load testing sprinkler systems. You know what I'm saying, Corey? And I said, no, it's in your code that says it must be load tested. And, you know, I'd like the insurance agent for that building to send that to the real insurance company and see how they feel about, you know, insuring a building that wasn't load tested, that is 75 to 125 years old.
Right.
All right. So now so I think we've answered everybody's question. So when somebody goes, hey, what do I do? How do I just send them to this page? You know what I'm saying? And what is this? So can you show the first page of the 75 year, my main page on this, please, Corey? I mean, Ben? I'm going to go very quickly through this. Scroll down. We've done this for 50 years. That's my father and me. Scroll down. We got plenty of testimonials. Scroll down. We can do the work and give you a 25-year warranty. Keep going down. We teach this nationwide. So, you know, we've been at it for 50 years. We're trying to help you. We're trying to save lives one fire escape at a time. You know, why are you here? This is the steps to recertifying this thing with Corey. Keep going down. Here's all the codes, right? Keep scrolling down. Here's the NFPA code that says the authority having jurisdiction. Keep scrolling down. There's the International Fire Code, the International Building Code, the NFPA code, the OSHA code. Scroll down some more. You have appearances, sad stories of firemen or people injured or dead because somebody didn't do the right thing with a fire escape. Got it? So that's the page there. Now let's talk about Balcony Services Network, because, you know, I only hold you. I think I got another 10 minutes, and I promised Corey that we weren't going to talk about SBs, but now let's talk about SBs. Balcony Services Network. .com, right? You'll have this link too. And you, now, the model that you want to follow is Berkeley. So Berkeley has a building department and a fire department. And the one that is really controlling this is primarily the fire department through their safety department there. So if you're going to copy anybody, go copy Berkeley. Because right now, everybody's hands off on this piece of the puzzle. Got it? It's an unfunded mandate from the state. Got it?
Yep.
So nobody wants this, but Berkeley has a safety office. You know, the office that makes sure that all buildings have the certificates and that all buildings are looked at every year. You know, that safety, you may have that department, you know, sort of as a liaison between you and fire, you and building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Call Berkeley, ask them what they did, and they'll gladly tell you. We'll give you connections over there if you want, but it is a hands-off kind of thing throughout the country. I mean, throughout California. Nobody knows who's in charge of it, but you know who's enforcing it? Only fire departments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll receive information. You know that Brycer doesn't have this on your thing. There's no Brycer reporting. And we've already spoke with Brycer and said, Brycer, this is another means of egress out of a lot of buildings. So scroll down. The deadline has been for residential people only. The deadline has been extended to inspect these balconies to January 2026. But the similar code for condos, which is the exact code with a little bit more stringent, right? It's the exact same code. They didn't extend it. So people right now, as I told you, insurance companies are not insuring their building because their balconies are not, you know, the very balconies that people hang out, drink wine, have friends, and all of this because of what happened in Berkeley, California, when 6 people died immediately that day when a balcony on a brand new building that was not even 25 years old just fell to the ground with about 12 people on it. That's where this code originates. So scroll down. Here's the SB721 code, you know, as what the state legislation put out. You can read it here. Read it quickly there because it's kind of small for us.
This bill would require an inspection of exterior elevated elements and associated waterproofing elements as defined, including decks and balconies for buildings of 3 or more multifamily dwelling units by a licensed architect, licensed civil or structural engineer, building contract holding specific licenses, or an individual certified as a building inspector or building official as specified.
Got it? So
Yeah.
design professionals are others acceptable to the building official. So we're immediate fit because we're others acceptable. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, as you scroll down, what could happen? There's a seminar I taught in Hawaii where from the 5th floor, a piece of railing and cement slab fell exactly between those 20 people that was suntanning and killed nobody. Okay,
Yeah.
scroll down, and you've got all these examinations of SBs, right? And you can just watch. And so just so you know, Corey, all those apartment buildings and condo buildings that have all these exterior elevated elements, the cement stair slabs, you know, the 1-story only stairs, the crossover, nobody's ever examined those in your lifetime, dude. This SB code is a godsend. It's a blessing because right now a traditional fire escape made of metal is what you are now getting into, not realizing that there's all this other egresses that people use on a daily basis to get in and out of their apartments, in and out of their condos. They're 1-2-story systems, you know what I'm saying? And they're off the radar. Here you are coming in and saying, there's a code. If anybody's enforcing it, it's only fire department. But we don't have everybody in charge of it unless you say, no, we're going to be in charge. We're going to take it. And that means every structure that we look at, we're in charge of smoke detectors. We're in charge of batteries. We're in charge of ingress, egress. We're in charge of sprinklers. And we get all these certificates. Of course, we want the building department to not be in charge of this thing. We'll loosely control it now. We'll try to convince, we don't have to convince. You can say, hey, Brycer, add SB21's, requirements. We'll help you, create the document, the 25-point questions to say, give me. Now, here's the beauty about it, all right? It's less stringent. Let me tell you. So open up that page of that picture that we just did yesterday. That one. So this is one of our clients 5 years ago. You see the metal fire escape on the top left?
Yeah.
Okay, I went there and inspected this fire escape, passed, all galvanized, ready for load testing, which 5 years ago, there was no load test. So now we're load testing that side. I think the cost for that load test was $3,500, okay? Of which they get a credit for the inspection. I think the inspection was $989. So I'm gonna load test that left side. You'll love it because your firemen show up at this building, they can get on it. There's gonna be a white tag on it that says, hey, good to go, get on it, got it? Now look at the next one, the brown staircase. Good condition, you know what I'm saying? Some of the railings are loose a little bit, but that's it. This thing is probably 15 to 25 years old, no more. Now, it's not as stringent. There's no load testing under SB721. It just must be functional. It gets daily use. This is a halfway house, with a lot of people in and out and on this. And so what we have to do is we have to look at our examination is going up this fire escape on the bottom and wiggling the rails. Identifying anything must be functional and safe today. Got it? So there's no lateral load testing going on as the metal one up above. On this one, we just wiggle the hell out of it so we can prove to ourselves that she's going to be good for another 6 years. You understand? Now we're looking at simple stuff. And on this one, the long stringers had hairline cracks the whole length of it on the right side, but not all the way through to the other side. But you know what? Guess what it needs? It needs reinforcement because I'm not going to let this go for another 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So it failed minor. It needs routine maintenance. And unless people have a gun to their head, they're not going to do it, Corey, right? So I said, nope, I'm not going to sign off on this. You need to get a carpenter in here with metal straps and with a screw gun, no nails, no machine gun nails on this thing. And he needs to start tightening this baby up. And so we kept walking all the way up and looked at, including that roof, we say we're looking for obvious things. We're also looking at the membrane and or the decking of this thing and saying, hey, is there any loose boards, any raised nails? And there were. And so if any child or anybody runs out of this place with bare feet, they're going to cut their feet on some of these raised nails. So you have to hammer all those down and then back up all those nails with screws only. Again, it's in the report explaining what needs to be done. And so the final is when we came down and look underneath it, it's all open and exposed. All open and exposed is that I can see all the metal. I can see all the gussets. I can see all the nails. And so if it's enclosed, the law says I must open up 15% of the sample. So whenever we run into the situation, there's a second half to it in that we must drill some holes. You know, so we can take a look at the extreme left, extreme right, something in the middle. Do you see any stains of any kind? Because the law says if it's closed up, I can't leave it like that. I must drill some holes this year. And then I put a cap on it so that 5-6 years from now, the cap is what I use to go and investigate enclosed areas. Got it?
Yep.
So that's what changed for this client, because the last time when I inspected this fire escape, I only inspected the silver fire escape. I was not allowed to inspect this deck. All right. And so this deck is used more than the fire escape. So that's what the law covers now. Got it? So
Yep.
Ben, show me one of our typical reports for of a wood inspection or an SB.
I have an SB report of a system that fails. We do have
Okay.
the overall, and then the specific phase 2 report with the internal investigation.
So you see, so leave it on this initial evaluation. Very similar to my fire escape one, Corey.
Yep.
You'll get this, and it'll say it's either an SB721 or a 326, right? And Corey, as you can see, I'm just going to tell you, pass or fail. It's functional or not functional, and it's less. There's no load testing coming. You know what I'm saying? I need 3 things it needs: must be kept painted, must be structurally sound and functional at this time. Okay, that's and no load testing is going to happen on this fire escape. Okay, and it's code compliant. There's some code that has lights for the egress. Those are the 3. So the SB721 is a softer version of a fire escape inspection. It's not there to, and a lot of people can fix it themselves. You just need to know what needs to be fixed. Is it a loose handrail? You know what I'm saying? Is it a loose tread? What is it? Can you imagine every egress from now on going in and out of your buildings we look at, and we just give you a soft report on it? So here's the soft report. It says, here's your fire escape, 4 pictures for now. You know what I'm saying? This goes to the client, not you, because you just want an SB certification. But we tell the client, listen, this is good. We talk structural, we talk paint or membrane. You know what I'm saying? If there's a membrane problem, loose rails, code issue, or others, right? So it's just three things that we talk to these clients on this only. That's the only 3 things you want to know. Is it currently functional and safe? You know what I'm saying? So scroll down some more.
Just to interrupt, so
Yeah.
the most important parts are whether there are immediate threats, and if there are immediate threats on an SB721 system, the SB721 requires the fire code official to get a report about this.
Yep.
So as you can see here, very quick look.
Sure,
No
go ahead,
immediate threats for all of these. So
slow down a little bit. You're going quite fast, you know. So this is also some pictures. Leave it there. This is also some pictures of us drilling a hole and looking inside with a camera, a borescope. You're going to want to see that, because if there's a problem there, you know what I'm saying, we need to say, here's proof. The stain, the membrane on top. And I think you have a great membrane shot of this job. Is that correct? There. Look at that. You know, we examined the deck, and all of a sudden we come there, and nobody's telling anybody about this. You know, what's rotting out my decks, and look how high those decks are.
Yeah.
So it failed. And so a lot of times these decks can be routinely maintained, but as soon as we start getting into wood rot, it's structural. Guess what they're going to need?
New wood
and a paint and a permit.
Yeah.
See that? Look at all that. Look, separation. So some of this falls into routine maintenance, but some of this is going to have to be opened up, and the carpenter will need a permit to open all this baby up. Questions and stuff. So not every company is going to have a great report for you, and you're not supposed to get this report. This is not for you. This is for the client, because from some of these pictures, and this is not a construction control document. This is just us telling you what the problems are with, and not where they are and how many exist. That's a construction control document that we're going to say, hey, open this up. We need further investigation. The client has to pay more money to bring in somebody accountable and responsible for this party with or without a permit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the majority of the people just pass. But imagine every deck in your city above 3 families So we're not bothering single family, 1, 2, 3 families, unless there's already a problem there. Then you could order an examination, but otherwise, it's 3 families. It's all investment property. So imagine all the residentials and all the condos satisfying this requirement over the next 6 years. You got 6 years just to get this rolling and moving. By the 6th year, you're going to be on top of everybody. But right now, you just need to start. You know what I'm saying? So as easy as you ask somebody for their Firescape certification and satisfy Brycer, you say, by the way, I also need your certification on the rest of these balconies, because I don't need to load test the rest of these balconies, which I could if I want to put them in the fire escape side of things. I want you to load test all these balconies because it clearly states that all fire escapes and stairways and balconies need to be examined on the load testing. You can say, hey, to avoid the stringent load testing requirements on all these balconies, put yourself into the SB. I need a separate report on the SB examination. So get this metal fire escape done for 5 and get this SB done for that, because I need to know that this place that you're renting out, I know you live here, but 2 of the apartments you rent. So, let's get this done, because I'm the one that receives this. You know what I'm saying? This unfunded state mandate is, I want the documentation, and if you want, we can help you get the same document with a 15-point questionnaire, for example, for the SBs with Brycer, and that's just you telling Brycer, please track all my balconies under SB721 or 326. Okay. So let's. I think we're getting close. I know that you have it's 10:35 right now. Let's open it up to questions and see if you understood everything. I think you see that we have information for everybody. So write violations, and as soon as they yell at you, you're like, go here. And I know you can. What we wanted to make sure today that the information is out there. I know you guys can direct people and say, hey, you must use these people. You're not allowed to do that. But we've also just now explained to you that says, hey, there's people out there that can do it. If they don't want to do it, these are the guys that teach classes. These are the guys that are doing it. They have the information that tells you what I wrote as a violation, how to get out of the violation. So I don't have to resource. It's just nothing but a resource. And who you finally pick and how much they charge has nothing to do with you, Corey. You know what I'm saying? Because the key right now is that you're about to step into Firescape land and SB land, and this is going to be upsetting for some people. You're going to get yelled at for even talking to me. But if you and Wes are doing theaters, please get all your theater fire escapes under control. You are doing commercial. The place you play with primarily is commercial. Everything's commercial. Just hit everything commercial, including apartment complexes and stuff like that. The residentials will hear the noise, and then on a case-by-case basis, pick on residentials. You know what I'm saying? Don't go. Yeah. They'll make the most noise. They have the least amount of money. Yeah. But the commercial apartment complexes, the commercial condos associations, the commercial, property management companies, you know what I'm saying? You say, dude, here's where all the information is. Get yourself educated. Wake up an architect. Wake up an engineer. Wake up a local ornamental iron worker. Wake up a local, welding fabricator. Wake them up. Because nobody's been watching this, and now, Corey, you're behind the ball, and you're like, how do I get this? You don't. You just say, I have a 3 to 5 year program to get back on this with Firescapes, and I have a 6-year plan with how to get these SBs. And since I'm at this building anyway, here's your violation for Firescape. Here's your violation for the SB. You know what I'm saying? I just need a certificate. I don't even know if they're good. I don't care if they're good. You prove to me that these balconies that your tenants drink wine on and hang on, and my firemen need to get in there and get them when they pass out. You know what I'm saying? That it's safe. Because right now, never have balconies been looked at. So a lot of times I inspect the fire escape, the metal portion, and I'm told not to look at the balconies on either side. And here you have a code because 6 Irish kids died in one day. Mm-hmm. And Berkeley has had this code since 2015. It wasn't until 2019 that the state said, oh, this is a great idea that Berkeley put together. If you want to call them for guidance and what should I do and how does my department grab it, or what's the safety office situation? You know, I don't know. Everybody's a pterodactyl right now. They all have short little hands that nobody wants, but grab it. Don't let anybody grab it, you know, bring it in, because it's you watch buildings. So why would you let somebody else watch it for you? Because the previous people that did this, which is the building department, for 100 years, they don't care about fire escapes because it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's only when it's broken do we need to fix it, because it generates a permit. So the lives, our tenants and firemen is you.
Yeah.
So let's open it up to questions. What kind of questions you have? Wes, I don't know if Manny's still there, because we had
Manny had to jump off. I think Wes is still here. Did he pop off? I think Wes dipped off.
I think he popped off. And again, I told you, it's going to be one person leading the charge. So you're going to get hit in the head more times than everybody else. You're Captain Rusty now. The Rusty guy when it comes to fire escapes, SBs. What kind of questions do you have? Because this is a lot. We recorded this, so you're going to get a recording of this to send to Manny and send to Wes, so they can watch it at home and get a little bit more. But
do the SBs also include internal stairways?
No,
is it just external? Okay,
all external. If it's subject to the weather, exposed to the weather, you got to go there.
All right.
But otherwise, no. Yeah, it's inside the envelope is you. Outside the envelope is these two codes now, not one code. So it's a blessing. It's a pain in the ass right now, Corey, this SBs. But what it did is basically took everything else that's an elevated element, such as a standalone balcony or a standalone balcony with these metal stairs that have cement treads. It scooped them all, because in the past, nobody would ever even inspect that as a fire escape ever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So right now, just day to day, no major campaigns of any kind. Just start looking at every building. Start with all the commercial, and start writing commercial violations. And again, on a case-by-case basis, residentially, you'll see somebody that's a pain in the ass or something that's dangerous. Just write them up, but you don't have to go chasing everybody. But the SBs only have 7 more months of compliance regulations. And so everybody in your city is behind the ball, but you haven't been waving a flag of any kind on the SB. So now you have to at least start, just so, well, I'm on that, but my God, I need more staff. I've asked for more funding, but otherwise it's not your requirement that SB721. It's my apartment building's requirements to know about SB721.
Right.
But you're going to get flooded. So now everybody has these reports. They're like, who do I give this to? And Corey, and we'll help you with that, with Brycer, say, Brycer, track these for me too. Don't just track my fire escape, track my SBs. Because you already pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And Bryce is free anyway, because we pay every time we submit to Brycer. That's how they collect their fee. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your piece. So just say, Brycer, I want to work with the National Fire Escape Association. Here's the 25 questionnaire that I want. I don't want to use ours anymore. It's confusing as to when do you report, what do you report, and when these reports come through. And Bryce is not supposed to be getting these reports on how to repair. That's if there's a permit involved. They just want to know that, like Seattle doesn't ask, right, Ben? Seattle doesn't ask for that information. They say, fill this out, go fix it, independent of us. We don't care.
Yes,
permit,
all they
no
ask
permit.
is for you to answer the 25-point questionnaire, and after it's repaired, just indicate on the deficiency tracking that the repair is completed and the deficiency is cleared. That's it.
That's it. You understand, Corey? You don't need any more work. All right. So
sounds good.
If all the information is there in the 3 steps, inspection it, repair it if needed, or go straight to load test, or inspect it, load test it, and have a deficiency report on the tail end to saying, here's what we found after we load tested that still needs to be fixed. So certain repairs must be done before load testing, and certain deficiencies can be done after load testing because they're minor. We would never load test a fire escape with major deficiencies.
Right.
So every now and then we load test a fire escape and there's a few deficiencies on it. We just we just blue tape them or put caution tape on them, say, don't load test this railing because it's still loose. It still needs to be fixed. So the load testing got done. You passed the load test with deficiencies, saying only when these deficiencies get fixed will we conclude the load test. That's already been performed.
Right.
Got it?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. What else? What other questions you have? Otherwise, who do we deal with now for this Brycer transition? And because now you're going to need to bring in the big boss who works with Brycer on other things, obviously, not just Firescapes. But do you want us to help you create your version of the Seattle version of the 25 questions?
Well, I don't think I have the. I talked to the marshal, and I think that'd be very helpful, just because it'd help the occupant kind of get started and have a place to start rather than scratch their head and make 1,000 phone calls and everything. So I'm going to talk to the marshal about that, and I'll reach out to you. And I think it'd be a good idea, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think because you're going to head this up, he's really asking for you and what did you learn, and you're basically going to say, listen, I can write violations all day long. I'm clear right now on the Firescapes. It's in the code. I have to enforce it. Lives depend on this. Liability insurances are involved now. And what we want to do is make sure that these people have a 5-year certificate on your chocolate and vanilla standard Firescape. Got it. We're going to do that. Bryce is already there. We want to change our document that the building fire marshal just approves, because of you, what you're about to say. Here's the way we are asking these questions. It's confusing for our people, including Alfredo. You know what I'm saying? So what it should be there, something similar to Seattle, which Brycer also does, you know what I'm saying? So, and they said, ask these 25 questions. I'm assured that in the 25 questions we get answered, paint is covered, structural is covered, code is covered, and it's generic questions, you know what I'm saying? Like putting all the liability back on the inspector to do his job for his fee. It's like, it's not an eyeball from the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's going to walk the stupid thing and answer every single one of these questions and then tell me it passed, it failed, or and it's ready for load test. And if there's any life safety, it's required. They have to tell me if there's some life safety so I can deal with the owners directly. So that's the whole Firescape thing. I think you got it under control. Now you have to say again?
Where's the access to that Merced form questionnaire? Was that just a one-off?
It's in Brycer. It's only in Brycer.
Okay.
So that's not separate. You have to register with Brycer, which we are, in order to fill out that form. So otherwise, what we're doing for Alfredo is we're filling that out for him because we took him out of the loop. Yeah. But if Alfredo wants to get back into this, he has to visit Firescapes, has to walk Firescapes, he has to take all this liability on that he may or may not want. That's why you're having such a hard time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes these guys want to be involved, but they don't want to do all the real work that needs to be done and do it correctly. And this is just as important as the load testing an elevator. He cannot skip steps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that's going to take, so you have 5-year Firescapes under control, we'll help you, with Brycer on just that document. We're going to have a similar document now that you're going to introduce to Brycer to say, here's my SB questionnaire, and here's my 721 questionnaire for residentials, and here's my SB326, same examination process with a little bit more stringent, because they condo owners, I think it's every 9 years, right? Right, Ben?
That is correct. Every 9 years for the 326.
So you understand we have to be a little bit more stringent, but there's still no load testing going on these SB326s. But we're not going to look at this building for 9 years because they want more of a professional look at it with the engineers and architects and others qualified to that can do that examination. And then see you later. So they expect it to be fixed correctly because now there's more money there from the pool of condo owners. You know what I'm saying? And then who do we report to? I don't report to you. I report to Brycer on this SB721 and 326s, and you just see it on your dashboard, right?
Right.
That address has a dashboard of smoke detectors, this, that, and then one more item gets added to it. And that's what we're going to help you do.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
I'm going to have to hit the city now. I'm going to I got to get off and get to some inspections, but really appreciate the seminar. It's very educational, and thank you for taking the time to do this for us.
Perfect. The one thing I want to ask you, you did get that link to inspecting farescapes that we did, you know, the one that's an hour and a half long. Did you get that link?
Yeah.
So that's another great one for you to inspect farescapes from the ground. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to physically get on the farescape or near a farescape. So when you get a chance, please watch that so that you can get a little bit better understanding of farescape violations from the ground without putting you in danger. And also with that is also wood balcony situations from the ground that you can write the SB. It's a pleasure, Corey, doing business. Next time I'm here, I'm going to come in and visit you in your city. But hopefully between Manny, you and Wes, you guys can just start the process of moving on.
Sounds good.
Okay, it was a pleasure talking, and thank you very much for this seminar.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Corey.
Bye. Thank you.